Hello, this is a video of a tier list of the hardest classes that I've taken at UIUC. Chem 102 I think is hyped as like the hardest class for a freshman. I think this class is perfectly structured because they gave us a workbook that had all the slides for the class, and then while the professor's talking you basically filled in the blanks. So lecture was great because after the lecture I felt like I understood what he talked about. Then for discussion, that was basically where I reinforced the lecture material. They had a workbook that had all the practice exams, and you basically, if you know the practice exams, you know the test. The only difficult thing about Chem 102 is that you have to put in a lot of work. Compared to a bunch of other classes, it's not that bad. Next up, we have CS 125. If the professor makes the class really interesting in the lectures, it motivates you to study and learn the actual material. So Professor Chapman made the lectures extremely fun to go to, and overall it was just like easy to learn class, and if you have any trouble, the TAs are always there to help. So very manageable class. I thought it was very fun to go to. I think you'll see in these classes, if I like the class, I'm going to do well in the class. If I don't like the class, I'm not going to do as well. Econ 102. I had Professor Vasquez, and I don't think he's there anymore, but he was a professor that made the class extremely easy. He would let you do open note exams. The only thing for him when I took it was that he said that you can't use your computer during the exam. It's going to be open note, but everything has to be printed. So my friend, what he did was that he went and then he printed out the Quizlet for all the questions, and he had like a stack of Quizlets, and then he would just look through them during the exam. So for Professor Vasquez, Econ 102, it was a very easy class. I don't know nowadays if this is still an easy class, but for me when I took it, it was an easy class. Math 241, aka Calculus 3. That class was my worst class in freshman year. I hated this class. My professor was a professor with a thick accent. I would go to class and then he would be speaking so quickly that I couldn't understand what he was saying. There was 3 professors at the time. I went to the other 2 professor lectures just to understand the subject material, but every professor goes at a different pace. So some professors would not really cover what my professor covered, and so a majority of the class was going to TA sessions to help figure out homework. For the actual exam, it was like horrible because it was not related to the homework at all, and it was just like a brutal class. I spent way too much time on this class, more than necessary, and I still got a bad grade. CS 173. This is the first like more in-depth CS class that you take outside of CS 125. For me, when I took it, it was a depending on professor class. I can tell you I don't understand anything in this class. The only thing I really knew is that U means union, and I think that like N looking one means intersect. The only reason I got an A is because for the professor, she would have the exam be pretty much the same as the sample exam. I don't think I would have gotten an A if I didn't have this professor. So this class is the first like difficult CS class. The main thing about this class was that it's a lot of work. Like I just remember every day come back and then finish all our other homework just so that way we could spend the most amount of time to do CS 225 homework. The one thing that this class taught me was that if you have a very difficult class, you need to go find a friend group that is also struggling and pretty much in the same boat as you to do like the projects with, because people can fill in the holes that you don't know and you can fill in the holes that they don't know. This class, definitely a hard class. Physics 211, just like Chem 102. If you put in the work to understand the material, it's pretty manageable. So, manageable class. For 233, this class was special to me because this was like the first class in CS that I actually enjoyed. This was the first class for me that had the same like feeling as the Chem 102 and physics class, where it's just like if you go to class and understand it, then you'll do well in the exams. This class was actually pretty fun for me to take. CS 241 was not fun. This class just felt like the next level for 225. I'm pretty sure I didn't really need to pay attention to lectures in this class because it's literally if you don't understand the labs, you don't do well in the class. So everyone just put in all the effort on the labs, and then if you understand the labs, you'll do okay. So this class was just like pretty difficult. I didn't like it. For some reason, I just could not understand linear algebra. I tried my best to understand it and it just did not make any sense to me. I didn't like this class. It was a hard class. For me, this class was just linear algebra in computer science form, and I don't think I understood linear algebra, so having to use linear algebra and apply that to programs just made it like a lot harder. So this class I didn't do well in either because I just didn't understand linear algebra. I remember this class I had to put in extra work to get my specific professor. The reason being that her exams were like along the lines of her lecture. So if you understood the lectures, you understood the exams. So this one's gonna be here. This class is the single hardest class for my whole UIUC career. When I took this class, I had 4 classes total in my schedule because I knew this class was going to be really difficult and I wanted the rest of my classes to be easier so that way I could focus more on this class. And even so, I did not understand anything about this class. In the middle of the semester, I just stopped going to lecture because I would go there and just be more confused. So I was like, I'm just going to put that time into figuring out the homework assignment. I think it's just because it's like a concept-based class, so the lecture can only show you so much. You have to like figure it out by yourself afterwards, and then I just did not understand anything. So this class was like extremely painful to do. My grade reflected how I felt about the class. That's my tier list. Hopefully this helps you out if you're trying to figure out which classes to take next semester. If it does, please give a like down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!